Okay, men, we're continuing to look at the characteristics of a strong man. I might even say this. If you wonder, if you go, man, I don't know if I like your characteristics, or you think of some others, I might challenge you. What would you add to my list? I'm hitting some things, and we've taken a look here in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 2, and David said this at the end of his life. He said to his son Solomon, I go the way of all the earth. That means I'm about to die. He said, but be strong, therefore, and prove yourself a man. One of the ways you prove yourself a man is by your strength. And we've been not talking about the physical strength as much as the strength of soul, the iron in your soul, the metal in your soul. Is there strength on the inside of you, strength of spirit? And we've been going through some various characteristics. And you might, I wouldn't doubt some of you men, you are powerful men, you are strong men. I might challenge you. What would you add to my list? By the time I'm done, you ought to have your own list. So you ought to be making your own list. What's the characteristics of a strong man? Now today I want to talk about one that, boy, I've seen men mess up so much on this one. One of the characteristics of a strong man is he takes responsibility. As compared to a weak man blames everybody else for things. I tell you, this past Sunday, before we were doing this taping, I was on my way to the office and to church, and I was going to be there. I've got a 9:35 meeting with some of my leaders, and I was coming in, and my phone started ringing, and it was about 20 after 9, and I answered the phone, and it was my assistant, and he called up and he said, Pastor, are you on your way in for the meeting? And I said, what meeting? And he said, and he mentioned the meeting, and it started at 9, and I was already 20 minutes late. I was real late for that meeting. And I said, oh my goodness, man. I said, I forgot all about it. And I took responsibility. I came in and looked at the guys, said, guys, it's my fault, someplace in here. I set up the meeting, but I didn't write it down in my schedule. I ask you to forgive me. But there's a side, some men would break to, well, I overslept, and well, my wife asked me to do some things. I'm sorry, I got out of the house too late, and I'm hustling to get in. And sometimes men would make excuses rather than taking responsibility. Or blame somebody else. Well, my secretary forgot to put it on and email me and what have you. Things like that. Ultimately, a strong man takes responsibility. Men, if you're responsible, stand up and say, I'm guilty, I did it, I take responsibility. Because that's a sign of a strong man. It's a weak man that runs from responsibility and blames everybody else. Which one are you?